Welcome to Real Talk episode 11. I am Brian Rose and we are here at London Real Studios, but there's no guests because this is Real Talk where I get to answer your questions for 30 minutes live. It's exciting, it's fun. I love this time. So let's get into it. But first, I just want to check in with what's been happening here at London Real. We are dropping our moving conversation with Ido Portal, and that's why I'm carrying this stick, because this stick I think is becoming more famous than me. Because this is the stick that was featured in the video that Ido and I use to really explain a lot of his movement techniques. And in it, you'll see him kind of swinging this at me like a sword. And we're playing lots of movement games in the parks of London. And we filmed this live, like guerrilla style. We had no permits. The police came and tried to break it up about 3 times. But we got a very real conversation with Ido Portal, who is the movement expert who in the last couple months has blown up on a global stage by being known as the trainer for UFC champion Conor McGregor. But we knew Ido for the last couple years because he's been a 2-time guest on London Real. And we filmed this conversation actually before Ido was in Las Vegas to watch Conor with his amazing knockout of Jose Aldo. And we just got the most amazing conversation possible. I had Ido in here sitting in this chair, and I felt the conversation wasn't what it could be. And once we got him out moving and talking about movement, it was absolutely incredible. We set up rings on a tree in Green Park here in London, right by Buckingham Palace where the Queen lives. And we did ring movements. We were working on muscle ups. A policeman rode into the whole thing. So you'll see all that, but we're really excited. There's a trailer that's already been dropped, and the premiere of our very first moving conversation is January 31st. So watch this space. We will be releasing it early for London Real Academy members, so keep your eyes out. It'll be ready in the next few days, but the general release will happen on the 31st, and we're super excited, and it's gonna be something we do more in the future. This is really a documentary in our very first, and it features the stick, and it'll make more sense what the stick's all about, but now I kind of like having the stick, so I'm gonna hold on to it tonight. So stay tuned. I'll tell you more about the stick that we featured on Friday in our focus group. That was a lot of fun here. But let me tell you a few of the things that have been happening. Chris Hadfield, the astronaut, we featured in a beautiful video of our tribute to the late David Bowie, who died last Monday, and we put an amazing video that's up on YouTube that is the astronaut Chris Hadfield talking about how he recorded a cover version of Space Oddity in space, in the space station. And Chris was sitting right here in this chair about 2 months ago, and we got a beautiful piece of video that our resident expert Luis put together, and I think it's about to hit 100,000 views on YouTube. So check that out. It's absolutely amazing, and it really shows you what this incredible man Chris Hadfield is all about, and really what he was thinking about David. So really love that. As if that wasn't enough, we've just dropped our episode with Wim Hof, the Iceman. Wim is incredible. He is a global sensation now, and the Wim Hof method of breathing, of living, of thinking is something that's exploding on the world stage, and I felt Wim's presence in here. I'm actually on his training program as well, and I'll tell you more about that later, but we're so excited to drop this with him. You might have seen his documentary on Vice, but he really has an interesting message. He even got me to cry at the end. So shame on you, Wim Hof, but definitely check that episode out. It's, of course, available free on London Real Academy, so watch that. Super excited. Tomorrow in studio, sitting in this chair, when I'm in this chair, we have England rugby player. He also plays for the Wasps, Mr. James Haskell. He's quite a fantastic guy. He's really big into his fitness. He's got his own YouTube channel, and he plays, rugby at the very top of the game. And I've never had a rugby player in here, and I want to talk to him about how that game differs from American football, how really you mentally prepare for a game like rugby. It's very rough. There's not a lot of pads, and I want to know what it's like to compete at the very top. So you can watch that live, of course, if you're an Academy member. If not, the episode should be out in about 6 weeks. So super excited for that. And as you know, we are now on television. I know, it's crazy. The mainstream media is embracing London Real, and we love it. So every weekday morning at 7 a.m., you can watch us on London Live, which is the television station owned by the Evening Standard newspaper here in London that does the Evening Standard newspaper and a bunch of other pieces. And so we're excited to be on their channel, and we are rolling out some of our best episodes ever. And funny enough, Dorian Yates, our most popular guest of all time on London Real. His episode is dropping tomorrow at 7 a.m. You can watch part 1 on Thursday, part 2 on Friday. So you can get a full 2 hours of Dorian Yates. I can't wait until the general public, wakes up tomorrow morning and sees Dorian on there, looking like Ernest Hemingway in this beard and the tan and talking about life, bodybuilding, and the spiritual lessons that he's received over the last 10 years after he retired from bodybuilding, or 15 years. So excited to have that. And I was talking to Dorian this week earlier on email, and I said, Dorian, you're on TV. And he wrote back and he said, Brian, I'm finally on the idiot box. So I thought that was very telling. So super excited about that. So check us out on London Live. We're tweeting out pictures every morning from the guests. We've had Eddie Izzard on there, Imogen Heap, and more to come. So very excited about that. And we just announced yesterday the opening for the How to Ace Your TED Talk course. Now, if you probably know me, you probably have seen my TED Talk. I think I called it How I Went from Millions in Banking to Inspire Millions Online. And it was a really seminal moment for me. I had already published probably 200, 300 hours of video, but it was this 16 minutes that really had the most impact on London Real, on the partnerships we've been able to do, on a lot of the guests that have shown up. It was my TED Talk, not our episode with Neil deGrasse Tyson, not our episode with Dorian Yates or Ido Portal. It's the TED Talk that convinced them to come on, because it really showed the struggle I went through from being a banker to broadcasting out of this studio when we didn't have Winston and we didn't have the fancy lights. It was just webcams, and people really liked that story of overcoming a real challenge and overcoming a lot of darkness for me when it came to broadcasting and no one listening for a good couple years. And so what I want to do is try to give back some of the knowledge I received of giving that TED Talk. And so we're opening this course. It's only for 10 people, but if you want to give a TED Talk this year and become a key person of influence in your niche, which I think is important, then click on the link below. You can come in, you can put your application in. We're going to be taking 10 people through 10 weeks of intensive training with the idea that when you're done, you're going to give an award-winning, a crowd-blasting talk and really elevate you to become a key person of influence. And other Academy members that have already done this is Akash Takar. He gave one in Seattle that blew my mind about sound in the video game industry. So proud of him. And one of my best friends, model and trainer, Mr. Roger Frampton, I saw him give his TED Talk at TEDx Leamington Spa, and he really blew the crowd away. And both of those are going to be on YouTube soon, and I'll share them with you. But a lot of Academy members are really stepping up their game this year and deciding to jump in with the TED Talk. And if there's one thing I can recommend that you do, it's give a TED Talk. I honestly think everyone's got one in them. And if you want to go on a journey with us and get our help and our placement, then come on, apply for the course. Like I said, only if you're serious about this, because we don't like to waste our time around here. But for the 10 people that are going to come with us, it's going to be a great journey, and you're really going to do something that's going to change your life, because you'll always have that TED Talk, and people will be seeing it until you die, really. I mean, I had family, aunts, uncles, guys I went to MIT with, people from high school contacting me when they saw that TED Talk. So super powerful. So jump on that train. As you probably know, we're on our Business Accelerator course right now, and we've got 10 individuals that are going from idea to product. It's absolutely incredible. We've got someone in Australia, California, Switzerland, Finland, London, North Carolina, Kansas, and we're all going through this journey of really trying to figure out if your idea can make a new product. And quite frankly, it should be called the Life Accelerator course, because these people are really getting out of their comfort zones and they're struggling, but we're making massive progress. And funny enough, most of them are now learning that they need to become a KPI to get that business off the ground. And so we're actually producing a lot of content that probably is going to make a great TED Talk for them too. So just want to send out a lot of the love to our members on that course: Chris, Sebastian, Dean, Paul, Colin, Jacob, Melissa, Joe, Mike, and Alan. And just want to say we got 8 weeks left, and we're going to make it through, and afterwards we're going to publish those businesses on the Academy, and it's going to be incredible. So that's what's going on there. It sounds a little busy around here. Well, that's because it is. And I just want to let you know, March 12th, the London Real Academy Summit is happening right here in London. We're sending out the invitations tomorrow to all of the Academy members, so be there. We're probably only going to be able to house about 150 people, and I think the spots are going to go. But what it's going to be like is a focus group here at the London Real Studios. So all of the vibrations, all of the people coming together, the offline interaction, people getting vulnerable, people talking about their goals, their dreams, upgrading their peer group, meeting with me, getting our feedback, and getting people to make them accountable, it's going to happen times 10. And the whole idea is that this event isn't about me. It's not really about the guest speakers that are going to be there, although they will be incredible, but it's really about you, because we want you to come together and you really to find that peer group, to find that mentor, to find that investor, to find really your best friend that you're going to be with for many, many years to come, that's going to push you and make 2016 different than 2015. Make sure that when you wake up January 1st, 2017, you're going to be like, oh my God, that was the greatest year of my life. And the idea is we all get together. I'm going to have you out of your seats. The plan is for some active meditation, Elliot Holst style, some guided meditation, talking about ideas, businesses, getting things done, how to set, track, and achieve your goals, guest speakers. But it's really a coming together, and it's the idea for you to go away with like 10 solid friendships and contacts of people around the world that you're going to stay in touch with. So stay in touch. The emails go out tomorrow. So don't wait by your inbox, but be ready for that. And grab your ticket and show up. It's going to be so much fun. I can't wait to do that. So there you go. I mentioned focus group. The stick was highly featured at the focus group. And if you don't know what that is, every month here at London Real, we invite Academy members only to come to the studio, to sit down in these chairs, smell the leather, to meet Winston the dog, and to really open up, tell me about you, tell me about your goals, your ideas, what you want to get done, and really, really go elbow to elbow with 30 other London Reelers that are trying to build best versions of themselves. And so it was incredible. We live streamed this one. So if you're an Academy member, you can still watch it. It's been watched by like 600 members around the world. There were 30, 35 people here that night, and it was absolutely amazing. Our most powerful group ever, and the stick was there. The stick played a prominence. A lot of people grabbed it and were holding it in the front when they spoke, and it was really powerful. At the very end, everybody was jumping up and down, and I swear the floor here in the studio is like lower than it was because everybody was jumping up and down. There were hugs around afterwards. It was really incredible. I felt so proud of everything we've done here. So book your focus group in. February 12th is the next. I think there's a couple slots left, but I can't believe there are because it's such a great experience. People have flown in from Hawaii, from New York, from Germany, Switzerland, Poland, Australia to be at this focus group, so it's powerful. And the month after, we have the summit, which is basically like the focus group times 10. So book those dates in your calendar. It's going to be incredible. And what I told the people at the focus group is put your vlogs in. If you're an Academy member, upload 2 minutes and tell us who you are. If you're listening to this now, just stop, pause this video, pull out your phone, tell us who you are in 2 minutes because it's a great way to get to know people in the Academy and already start your accountability process. And finally, accountability buddies are free. There's someone in the Academy that's going to keep you on your game. You can fill out a form on the website in the right nav bar, or you can talk to Noura, our community manager. So there you go. That's the business. Let's go to your questions. Here we go. Mr. Paul Hurley, Academy member, says, Brian, which London Real guests have had the most profound influence on you, and how have they influenced you in terms of what you now believe and how you live life? Can you please give a few examples? You know, I think you could probably give me examples of who these guests are. And to be honest, you can't see it in here, but we've just posted a bunch of new pictures on the wall here, and I'm looking at them now. And I see people like Mr. Dan Pena, and we'll get to Dan, definitely. I see people like Dorian Yates. I see people like Chris Hadfield, Wim Hof, the Iceman. Over on the other wall there, we've got Stitch Duran, the UFC Cutman. We've got Neil deGrasse Tyson. I even got Max Kaiser over there in the corner. And you know, you probably know some of the people that have affected me greatly on the show because I spend a lot of time with them and I talk about them a lot. And you see them affecting me. And one of them is Ido Portal, by definition. And you'll see at this moving conversation coming up that Ido's had a big effect on my life. And it's changed the way I move and changed the way I live. And I now do ring muscle ups. I do lizard walks. I do parallel bar work. I do backhand walkovers in the gym. And I got the greatest compliment the other day, again, when I was doing a backhand walkover and I kind of walk around on my back and I look like The Exorcist apparently. And someone went over and asked my trainer, they said, how old is that guy? Which for me is the greatest compliment you can get when you're turning 45 this year. So it's all good, but Ido's had a big effect on me, how I think about motion. Elliot Holst has as well. I do active meditation now here in the studio and almost break through the floor It almost was the worst YouTube video you've ever seen, with all of us going through the floor on Friday. But I do active meditation now in the park with my daughter every weekend, and I really feel that expressing your emotions physically, it's a game changer. And I think sometimes you need to yell and you need to scream and you need to get out of your body and you need to just do all these things that we repress. And I think it gets your head thinking clearer, and it's had a big effect on Elliot, and I see why. And I'm so grateful to have Elliot here and teach me those lessons, and just express yourself with your body. You know, someone saw ballet the other day, and ballet is the ultimate body expression art form because there's no talking. And so it's amazing as humans how much we can tell someone and how much we can learn from a body movement, and it's powerful, and it taps into that lizard brain. So love it. Who else? Mr. Dan Pena, of course, the $50 billion man, has had a big effect on me. And it's been almost 2 years since he showed up in the studio. It's been 21 months, and changed my life forever. And I remember Dan telling me when he got done here, he said, "Brian, I changed people's lives." And I thought, the old man is off his rocker. But Dan has changed my life, and he has so in a big way. 2 episodes with him, a live event at the Ritz, which if you're an Academy member, you can watch. It's an incredible day. I think we captured Dan in probably a way that's never been caught on video, and it's priceless. And everyone who was there in that room at the Ritz in March of last year, their life was changed, and a lot of them made big steps in their game, including Akash Takar, who did that TED Talk that I spoke about, and a bunch of other members really had game changers. But Dan's had a big effect on my life, and funny enough, about 30 minutes ago, I was talking with Julian in the war room, and he was saying something to me, and an email popped up, and it was in all capital red letters. And who is that from? Well, if you've been watching the show, you know that's from Dan Pena. And Dan was like, "Hey, how you doing, Brian?" He congratulated me on my son that's coming in May and on the London Live deal. So thank you, Dan. I appreciate it. And he quoted me talking about Dan from, I think, last week's Real Talk, where I said, "As much as I hate to admit it, but the old man is always right." And you know, it's true. I hate to admit it, but 9 times out of 10, Dan is right. You might not want to hear it at the moment, but in the long run, Dan is usually right. But 1 time out of 10, you're wrong, Dan. And but that's okay. 90% hit ratio is not bad at all. So Dan, I'm going to see you in February for dinner at the Ritz, and we'll catch up then. Very excited. Dan has really stepped up his game and offered his QLA Hardcore, which if you thought the Castle seminar wasn't enough for 7 days up at Guthrie Castle, he did like a 12-day hardcore over Christmas and over New Year's. So you got to spend Christmas Eve and Christmas Day with Dan and Sally, and then New Year's Day with them. And he went through case studies, and he really went into an intensive workshop type study. And I don't know if Dan's ever done anything like that before, but I saw the videos and I was very impressed. And I'm just, you know, Dan is constantly reinventing himself and stepping up his game, and that's something I learned from him. So excellent to see that. I want to hear more about that. And who knows, maybe we'll see Dan sit down here in the new studio. I don't know. We'll see. I would love to hear your comments and hear what you have to say. So let's keep it going here. More questions. Cerise Burnson, Academy member, she said, "Do you have any insight into adding structure to your day to enhance performance and flow?" Great question. Yes, I do. I think about my day all the time and how I can get more out of it, because I try to pack as much as possible into about 14 hours of productivity. And the other time I sleep and I spend with my family, and I train and spend on my body, or I meditate. And the rest of the time I try to be as productive as possible in here. And I know that if I can get 20% more productive, that 20% more great things will happen to London Real, and compounded over the next 10 years, that means we grow, do the math, at probably a factor of 20 bigger than we can. So I'm big into optimizing, and I would say a few things. First of all, get your sleep, very important. Do that very much. Meditate every morning. I like to have some quiet time where I can get my head sorted. I don't turn my phone on when I wake up. I don't dive into the Twitterverse and the emailverse and all these other people that have agendas for your time. Keep your own agenda for your own time. Get some time for you. Get your own space. Get some time to take care of your sleep. Get some time to take care of your body. Spend the time for your nutrition. Very, very important. So do these things. And at the end of the day, spend your time with your family, with people that you love and care about. Because if you don't do that and you spend your time on your business or your own egoistic pursuits, then you'll find out one day that you don't have a family, and then you'll find out that your whole world comes crashing down. So don't do that. And then as far as getting in the flow, we've been doing something here at the studio lately that's been amazingly productive. And I think it was Julian, our head of strategy's idea, and I think he ripped it from Tim Ferriss, that had these two modes that Tim talks about. And this is a great thing. Take notes if you're watching this. And one is called maker mode and one is called manager mode. And it's a great concept that we all have different hats that we wear in life, and one is making things, creating things, and one is managing things, and that is managing a process, communicating with people, that kind of thing. And you have to do both because you can't manage all the time or no one literally will find the value in what you do. You have to create something. But if you just create all the time and don't tell anybody about it, then nothing's going to happen to you. And so what we do here at the studio, and here's an inside tip, is that we come here in the morning, we do any kind of communications we have to do, make our bulletproof coffee, make my pu'er tea, and then at 10 o'clock we lock into maker mode, and from 10 till 1 we shut off email, Twitter, and we don't communicate with each other. We get into our music, our bird songs, things I learned from Julian Treasure, who was here, who talked about great sound and great business, and we lock in and we create. And if you force yourself to do this every day, you're going to find that you get places. But if you stay in reactor mode and you go check Twitter or email, even every 20 minutes, you'll find that you stay out of the flow and you don't get anything done. And ideally, we take a break from that at 1 and we go back in the afternoon for another session from, say, 3 to 5 or 3 to 6. And if you can honestly make for 5 hours a day, you are way ahead of the competition. I would say 1% of the people in this world get 5 hours of making time in the day. Maybe 0.1%. And when I started filling out the diaries for Dan Pena after the Castle seminar, you realize how much of your time you waste. And so as an exercise, fill out the time that you do everything this week. And you'll find out that you're actually only creating things for probably 2 hours a day. It's shocking. So Cerise, that's a little bit of information for you. That's one of the things we do to really make our flow create things. And like I said, the rest of the things is I train 5 times a week. I do it from my brain more than my body, although both are good. And as Elliot Hulse would say, the body is the mind. And again, meditation, spend your time with your family, stay in a positive frame, only spend your time with positive people that like talking about ideas and things in the future and that don't talk about other people or talking about things or things in the past. Those are all bad things. Stay away from that. Talk about ideas, things that are going to happen in the future. So there you go. Let's cruise through here. I've got a few questions left. Probably got about 8 minutes left. Let's see here. Nuranaker, our community manager, says, Brian, I'd like to know what is the one question you ask yourself on a daily basis. That's a great question. And Nura, our community manager, always asks me the best questions on Real Talk, never in person. And the one question I ask myself every day is probably something I don't say out loud, but it's this: do I love what I'm doing? That's the one question I ask myself every day. And if the answer is not yes, then you better have a plan as to how to get it to yes, or you better have an exit plan to do what you're doing. And for so many years, I was in the banking industry, and every day the objective was, quite honestly, to try to bank as much money as possible that day. And the question was, the question was not, are you doing what you love? And as Ido Portal would say, when you catch up to your dogma and you realize it's not really what you want, that's a hard day for you. And I had a hard day when I realized that I had been asking the wrong question every single day. And it took me 10 years to figure it out, and that was a hard day. So I think you really have to ask yourself, are you really doing what you love? Are you doing what you're passionate about? And if you're not, then you really have to ask yourself why you're doing it. And another great question is to keep asking yourself the question, why? Why am I going to work today? Because I love hairdressing. Why do you love hairdressing? Because I love people. Why do you love people? Because I love to communicate. Why do you love to communicate? Because I love to talk about my passions. You start getting down to what's really important to you. So that's the question you should ask yourself every day. And in the long run, you're doing us all a favor if you do something you love. Because we've all been around people that are doing things they hate, and it's bad energy and it's bad for everyone. When you're around people that are passionate, that give value to you and the rest of the world, and we all win. So I would say figure that out sooner than later, Neuro. That's my answer to you. Okay, a couple more questions here. Adam Mark Williams says, you need subscribers to attract guests, but you need guests to build your subscribers. True. What advice do you have for people to break through this chicken and egg scenario when starting a YouTube channel? Great question. Our YouTube channel is now 4 years and 4 months old. We have 134,206 subscribers, and it took a long time to get there. I remember when we got our first 100 subscribers, our first 1,000, our first 10,000, and I remember them all as major milestones. But I must say, if I had told myself I would be at 134,000, that it would take me 4 years to get there, I might have quit. So I must say, you cannot focus on the subscribers. You can't even focus on the views. You have to focus on making the best possible content and make it true to your passion. That's all you can do. And so if you're going to create something, make it beautiful and make it worth creating. You know, when Luis and I work on a video like the Chris Hadfield one, sure, we want lots of people to watch it, but what we really want is to make something beautiful. You know, we want to make something that's beautiful. Yeah, make something that people will remember us by, and that, you know, when we're old, we can say we made that video. But at the end of the day, you know, we're artists and we're craftsmen and we take pride in our work. And so every episode of London Real is a piece of beautiful work. And you might never watch that episode. That person might not interest you. But if you do watch it, then you're going to be like, wow, this is beautiful. And these guys actually cared. And so that's what we're doing here. And quite honestly, if you do that, it doesn't matter if anybody watches. Who cares? Because you know you created something amazing. And you can go home that day and you can feel good about what you did. And the flip side of that is, if you do that with passion and you really feel it, people will notice. And then you'll get your subscribers and you get your views and you'll go wherever you want to go. But you can't go there by just wanting subscribers and views, because it's not going to make sense and it never flies. It's like the real estate, the largest residential landlord in the world that was here last week. His name is Kevin Green, and an amazing guy, worth 100 million pounds or some number that who cares about. But he said, Brian, when you chase money, it runs away from you. And he's right. When you try to chase the money, you're always going to chase it. You know, when you try to create value and create something beautiful, it comes to you. And the same is true about subscribers and views and everything. And so if I had been chasing views back in the day, I would have been making cat videos, and I might have got the views, but then I would have realized one day that I hate making cat videos. And so instead, I made something that I cared about, that I loved. People thought it was stupid at the time. People said London Real was too long. People said, no one cares what you think, Brian. But it didn't matter, because I loved doing it. And now it still doesn't matter how many subscribers we have. I love doing it, and I would do this right now if nobody was watching. So there you go, Adam. I hope that helps you. Make something beautiful, man. And then it doesn't matter if I think it's great or anyone thinks it's great, because you think it's great. Let's go a little bit more here, a couple more. We're cruising to the end. Daphne DeLuce says, procrastination. I see so many people with great talent. They do nothing with it but complain about not getting ahead. Have you any insights on this topic? Yes. You know, and Dan Pena would probably agree with me on this. Procrastination it's really fear. It's a form of fear, and it's hard for people to realize that, and they don't want to hear that. In my TED Talk, I said, you know, research is procrastination in disguise, which basically means it's fear. And it's so true. A lot of the times we buy that book because we want to do that thing, but what we really do is avoid doing that thing. I'm going to buy a book about management. I'm going to buy a book about technology success. I'm going to buy a book and find out how Elon Musk does it. You know what you should do? You should just go and do it. That's what you should do. So procrastination is really because you're too fearful about it. And I never forget, one of the great writers once told me, he said, Brian, writer's block is because you're too invested in the outcome of your writing. Stop caring about the outcome and just dive in and create. And again, with procrastination, it's because you're just fearful of what's going to happen. You need to just effing do it, as Dan Pena would say. Jump in. Publish that video of you and put it on the Academy. Publish that video of you and talking about your product and put it on YouTube. Put it on Facebook. Yeah, your friends are going to say you're silly. Your family's going to tell you you're off base. Who cares? You're looking for your own tribe. You have to start expressing yourself, and that's why I tell everybody to broadcast themselves. And I'm a big fan of doing that, and that's why we're doing this TED course. I think everybody needs to get out and start being themselves. Be real, and be who you are. And that's the only way to get somewhere. Otherwise, you're going to research and you're going to procrastinate, and it's just not going to go anywhere. So we all have that in us. I still do it. I still procrastinate. I'm still fearful of things. I have to constantly watch myself and make sure that I'm not being scared when I decide not to do something. And I always will until I die. So great question, Daphne. Second part of that question is, how do you handle critics and the haters? Good question. I hit him with this stick. I see a lot of negative, you say, on social media. It looks like sour grapes to me, but is there any value in a critic? I would love to know your thoughts. Great question. Daphne, I love that question. I have the stick in case they're here. I can beat them with the stick, but no, seriously, I don't condone any type of violence. Martial arts isn't violence. But look, the critics and the haters, funny enough, I got two views on this. First of all, you're always going to get them, so just throw it out there. It's funny. I put out a video recently of me hitting Thai pads with one of my trainers, and I'm not a spring chicken anymore, but I still hit Thai pads, and I can kick them pretty hard, and I'll kick you in the head pretty hard if you want. But I told my trainer, I said, we're going to get so much hate on this video because everyone and their mother is a coach, a sofa critic of any martial arts form. They're going to say, Brian, you're not turning your hip, you're not holding your hand on your head, your elbows aren't tucked in, and that's okay. And I expected it, and it came, but that's okay. But Teddy Roosevelt once said that the man in the arena is the real man because he is out there. He's in the arena. He's taking the hits. He's going to win or he's going to lose. And the man in the stands is just watching it happen. And you want to be in the arena. Always you want to be in the arena. And so that means you're going to get hate. But you need to always be out there, and you need to be testing yourself and competing, and that's so very important. And so you need to go ahead and accept the hate. The second thing is, your critics will give you the best feedback you've ever received sometimes. So as much as I try to take the haters and take it with a grain of salt, sometimes they are exactly right. And so you got to listen to them sometimes, because sometimes they'll just call you on your BS and they're not invested in you. They don't care if you win or lose. Sometimes they just actually tell you how it is. And so sometimes you got to go on YouTube and just listen to them and say, maybe they have a point. And maybe they don't, and you should move on. But sometimes they tell you things that you know are actually true about yourself. So that's my answer to you. And that's it. I'm going to wrap this thing up. But thank you so much for watching. I feel like these real talks are great because we can kind of have a moment and I can answer these questions. We had a guy that was here at the focus group on Friday, and he's created Nigeria Real, and he's filmed his 4th episode right now, and he's amazing. He said, Brian, you need to have a place where you'll answer the questions from all the Academy members, and you could talk about what's on your mind and how you create and how you film your episodes. And I was like, yeah, it's called Real Talk. And it's on Wednesday at 7 o'clock for 30 minutes. So I hope you're watching, and I hope you're all watching. Please submit your questions. I give priority to Academy members, so please come in and check it out. And it's an incredible community, such good vibrations. We will see you all at the summit on March 12th. Like I said, check our courses out. We've got great episodes coming up, some amazing ones in the can, including Chris Hadfield, the astronaut, coming out, Ido Portal, the moving conversation. Early access for all of those. You can watch them as an Academy member. And that's it. Be good to each other, love yourself, and I'll see you next week.